Okay, so hello again. We're going to do a short section now about total cost of ownership. You've learnt about the building blocks in terms of the hardware and the ZFS software. What we're going to do now is look at some of the opportunities that are enabled by ZFS. So first of all, let's just do a quick recap on what has changed and what you've hopefully learned. So the first thing to say is the need to use expensive arrays to ensure data integrity. We've heard about end-to-end checksumming, and really what that means is that even if you use low quality or low cost arrays, which are not necessarily the same thing, you can still get very high levels of data integrity. That doesn't mean we're recommending that you change in that direction, but it does mean that you can enable that. Also, you've seen the performance characteristics of fibre channel versus SAS. SAS is much cheaper in the sense of host bus adapters, no need for expensive fibre channel infrastructure like switches, and it does give you the distance and performance advantages. The need to use a volume manager. Again, for certain situations, you may not need to purchase a volume manager. Very critically, you've seen that snapshotting, copy on write snapshot, is a fundamental aspect or build of ZFS, so that is not required to be purchased as a separate license. Similarly, replication in the form of send and receive. The need to use proprietary storage hardware and software. This is all open. And the need to mix your server and storage provider. If we roll the clock back about 10 years, if you bought a server, you always bought the storage from the same vendor because it just made sense. The introduction of SANs created that abstraction, if you like, and gave people the opportunity to look at the two independently. But now, as you see with things like hybrid storage pools and what ZFS can do with you, the time has never been better to buy it all from one place. The amount of staff and training need to administer complex storage. Hopefully, you're going to see that the kind of commands you use here, the GUIs that are available, means that you can do very complex operations much easier. And the time to create and modify storage allocations, and indeed pre-provisioning of storage, is not so necessary in this case because you can dynamically add. So all of those things have changed, and I think all of those could get a number put against their head. But let's have a look at this as well. Now, this actually is from the EMC website, and I want to point out here that we're not making any particular comment about EMC. In fact, part of the blog here says EMC Symmetrics great box. But what it's saying is this particular customer had implemented at $11 per gigabyte on EMC Symmetrics, re-platformed onto Clarion, their mid-range storage, and got a saving, but then he moved to a X4500 and achieved an even greater saving, and then moving to a 4150 with JBOD, got his best 10-for-1 reduction. Now, hybrid storage pools. We saw the examples earlier, and this is just one particular benchmark that's been run. This one shows a hybrid storage pool with some read and write solid state devices, and look at this, 4200 RPM SATA. These are very low power devices versus traditional storage. If this was OLTP, you'd probably be using a number of fast fibre channel devices. In actual fact, if you summarize the results, you've doubled your capacity, you've divided by 5 your power consumption. This is very significant. Cost is about the same, and your read and write operations have increased significantly. Now, depending on how you make the mix here, you can adjust these parameters accordingly, but there's savings to be had. Now, one of our first implementations of this was brought to market about 2 years ago, and it was commonly known as Thumper or the Sunfire X4500. Recently introduced the 4540, which takes it to another level. But this is a data server with 48 disks on board. There's no hardware RAID controller, so you can immediately see from what we've learned from Tim that this is a great machine for running ZFS. Also in terms of implementation, if you've got to configure formats and set up your RAID arrays on here, the kind of commands you use in ZFS really makes this life a lot easier. The bottom line here is 480 terabytes in a single rack, that's half a petabyte, is achievable at a cost point that's quite aggressive as well. Very popular system, one of the most popular products that Sun's got in its portfolio today. And a lot of people said, we'll never sell one of those. And it turns out that many customers choose this as an application engine or as a network storage device. Now, what you've learned today gives you the opportunity to, what I would call, roll your own. You can take everything that you learned today and go and implement ZFS in your own shop with your own equipment into your own applications. But you've got another option here, and the other option is to have it all brought together into an appliance. And we call that appliance the Sun Storage 7000 Unified Storage System. Before it was released in November, it went under the code name of Amber Road. You might have heard that terminology before. But let's just have a look at it. And we're comparing here to two of the leading filers or NAS devices on the market, NetApp, FAS, and EMC. Okay, what are the key points here? Well, you might be drawn to the fact that it's significantly cheaper. You might be drawn to the fact that it uses a third of the power. You might be drawn to the fact that it uses a quarter of the space. You might be drawn to the fact that it's got flash SSD built into it. But actually, all of these are very important points. The thing that's getting people really excited is the dtrace analytics. So dtrace is some metrology we've got built into the heart of Solaris, which allows you to do very deep analysis. Now, of course, what we've learned from Tim is that the storage software subsystem of Solaris is very rich. And what dtrace does is it goes into all of the parameters and settings within that operating system and provides them to the end user or the administrator, and gives you visibility on your storage system that's really never been seen before in a storage array. So, don't take my word for it. Why don't you go and try it? So, just to remind you on 4 things you can do here. First of all, try and buy almost any product that we've talked about, whether it's servers, storage, blades, thumpers, storage 7000s, you can get on a 60-day no obligation trial. I take the view if you can hold it in your hand, you can get it on try and buy. Don't hold a thumper in your hands unless you're very strong. You can download software. ZFS is part of Solaris. You can download these things off of sun.com. All of our software is open source. It's not necessarily free, as it says here. It's free to enter. There's no barrier to entry. For some of our software, we offer a support package, and we'd encourage you, when you reach production status, to take a full support package on our software offerings. On sun.com, you can get as much detail on products and technologies as you're looking for. And there's various communities, advisory panels that you can use. So hopefully that gives you a good picture of some of the advantages you can get from using this kind of technology, how it's enabled, and how you can get access to it.